Words is a sub-series from Something Private, featuring lesser-known stories of women who have survived unspeakable pains and triumphed. Women who succeed despite and against all odds. This is their story. I think you guys must have realized by now that I really cherry-pick the people I invite onto the podcast each week. Most of them have one thing in common, and that is they are by far more interesting than I'll ever be. And it's a real joy of mine to be able to share their story with you guys. I first discovered Ria on TikTok way before Circuit Breaker, when she was one of the few Singaporean content creators on the platform. I found her really interesting because here she was, an outspoken feminist LGBTQ activist, and yet she was killing it in a community that I prejudged to be one that was sexist and incredibly niche. Here is Ria's story.
I'm Ria, I'm immortal, and I was a full-time cosplayer. Currently I'm not studying, but yeah, I was full-time cosplaying for a good 2 to 3 years. So I guess I cosplay, but I also share content about local arts. I do talk about music a lot on my platform. I do game. I also talk about activism-related content, like LGBTQ related stuff, BLM, and our local ethnic minorities as well. 15% of my followers come from America. The other 15% is Singaporeans, and the rest are just all around the world. My follower base is still very much overseas and very international.
Tell me a bit about how you got started. Who introduced you? How did you start getting involved?
I always watched anime. So when I attended AFA, I think this was like in 2014, right before...
AFA is Anime Fest
Asia,
sure.
Yeah. I was walking around a convention and then someone called up on my name and I was like, who the hell? And it was like this really like tiny person in costume. It was in a Levi Shingeki no Kyojin costume. I squinted and I was like, who the hell is that? And it was one of my juniors from secondary school. And I was like, but aren't you a girl? Like, why do you look like that? You know? I was quite young at the time. So I was like completely foreign to like the idea of cosplaying or dress up. And she's like, oh, it's me, Rie. Like I was super confused. And then we reconnected from there on. And because she didn't know I liked anime, I was quite in the closet about it. And then she brought me out on photo shoots. So I helped her and stuff like that. And then she started to like pull me into the whole hobby altogether. And I've been thoroughly poisoned ever since. I guess being a girl, it's a very intrinsic part where you want to like dress up. Yeah, it's like how kids at birthday parties like to dress up as Elsa. Like essentially we all have that want, but we won't go out of our way to do it as like teens or as adults once we grow past the phase. Not to say that it's a childish hobby or anything. It's a very good creative outlet. And when I was introduced to the hobby, right, it didn't bring out like a very childlike essence out of me, and I really enjoyed that part. Yeah. Like some people say it's like an escapist form. Like people say, like, oh, if you like anime, you're an escapist, or if you like playing games. But it's not true for everyone. Like sometimes we just want to be immersed in another form of life, in a different reality, because it does help with your imagination.
How did you turn like that hobby into a career then? Because you mentioned that you full-time. It's a full-time job for you, right? Yeah. And what does that mean?
When I started monetizing my content, it was actually through one of my friends who came up to me and said, I have a booth at this event called Dojima, and I have an extra space. Would you like to take up that space to like sell some of your cosplay prints? Then at first I'm like, who the hell would buy pictures of my face? Like it was a super foreign concept. Nobody did it back then except for like 1 or 2 really popular people. So I sold my first few prints there, and surprisingly, it sold out. And my pricing hasn't changed since then. It's been $10 per A4 print.
Okay.
Yeah, with an autograph and a picture. From then on, I started like boothing more often. When you booth at events, sometimes like people who don't know you come and approach you and talk to you. Yeah, and then they find out your socials and stuff like that. So it's good to keep an open mind when I booth, like talk to everyone. And slowly, like when the reputation builds up, events do come and approach you and ask you like, would you like to be a guest at my next convention? Usually it comes with like a guest appearance fee, together with like you can sell your merchandise there. Then you get like a cut. You give them a cut of the merchandise amount. Sometimes like if I go to an event and they're like, oh sorry, we're a community-based event, so we don't give out appearance fee. I don't really mind. But they don't take a cut of my sales, that kind of thing. But the hotel, the flight, everything's covered. That's like the baseline. Yeah. So I've been to countries like Sabah in Malaysia, Manila, Philippines, Hong Kong. I miss Hong Kong.
Same.
Yeah. I've also been to AX America, Sydney Smash. I go to Comic Fiesta KL a lot. There was some point where I went to KL once a month for like 6 months straight.
Wow.
Yeah. How much I earn is like, it fluctuates a lot because every freelance artist knows that you never have a steady income, right? So I think my highest recorded one would be 7,000 a month.
That's quite high.
Yeah, but the lowest of lows, right, can go down to like, 3 figures. Yeah, that was probably the worst. And that was probably also due to COVID. Yeah, that was when it like, boo! And I was like, what happened? Yeah. After that, I transitioned into online content, which is like Patreon, Ko-fi. I was stuck in the, you know how like when you're growing your account and then you'll be stuck at that certain number? Yep. Yeah, I was stuck at like 2 or 3K for a while. And then I posted my Sakura cosplay from Naruto. And then boom. Like from then on, like every single month, I got at least 1,000 followers.
What made you do this full-time for like 2 to 3 years?
It just fell on my lap. Like, you know, when you're presented an opportunity and then I ask myself, like, do I want to do it now? Because if I try to do it later, I might not. The opportunity won't come again. Which is something I don't regret. Like, some people are like, oh, you took like a 3-year gap year when you could have just studied and done this on the side. Unfortunately, I'm not a good multitasker. So I was like, just screw it, man. I'll just do it for like a few years, see where it takes me. And I've gotten a lot of invaluable experiences. I've made like my bestest of friends, right, are people that are halfway across the world. And yeah, I just know that anywhere I go in the world, I have a friend who I can lean on. That kind of feeling, it's great.
The world of cosplay is very removed from like the real
society
world and society. Yeah. And I think that like it's like you mentioned just now, it's very niche. Give me an idea of like how big cosplaying is in Singapore.
It's large. It's like insane. For conventions like AFA, the queues can go up to the morning queue for the rush in to go and buy merchandise can be up to 3 to 4 hours long. Wow. The entry. We have yearly any song concerts also, and the concerts do bring in quite the crowd. Watching anime, I think is majority of people watch anime.
Agree.
They just are too paiseh to say like, oh, I watch anime. Like, come on, it's just anime. But being involved, right? Let's say like following creators, following voice actors, following VTubers and cosplayers is quite a significant amount. Like the fact that we could live off an industry like this shows that there is a demand for it.
True.
Yeah, there's quite a demand. I wouldn't say it's like crazy amount like compared to American circles.
I want to ask a rude question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I grew up, I would say very admittedly that like
you consume a lot of American content.
Yes, yeah. I'm trash. Admittedly still trash, but like I think I always grew up kind of with the impression that, you know, people who watch anime are like a certain kind. What are some common misconceptions that people have about
otakus or weeaboos in general?
Yep.
Yeah. I do get where the stereotype comes from. I have encountered multiple people like that, but usually they are just awkward. Yeah, they're generally very kind-hearted people. And when you talk to them, and I've made a lot of friends out of this actually, like when they open up to you and then they discover like their own personalities. I feel like this cosplay thing creates like a community. And then from then on, highly dependent on who you hang out with, forms the way you interact with people. And I'm very lucky to have met like sensible people in the community. So it's not as delusional. Like, you get what I mean? Like, it's not very incel-y lah.
I mean, talking to
straight
you,
up.
Talking to you, like, you don't seem like
I seem like a normal like
You're
Chinese
super-
girl, right?
Correct. Super reasonable.
Like if I were to speak like this to you, like walk in the door, right? And like say hi, you wouldn't think like, oh, that's a cosplayer.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a certain thing. I actually went to go and buy makeup with someone, right? And then I was at Urban Decay, the one at Vivo or something. And then the store manager looked at my friend and said, "Hey, you look like cosplay type one." And she's like, "Oh, how do you know?" Because she actually she looked kind of one kind of way one lah. And I was like just standing beside her like, please don't. Then she looked at me. I was like, "You don't look like cosplayer type." Then I'm like, "Oh, really? Yeah.
So
Is that a good thing?"
Yeah, I was just gonna
Is
ask,
that
like,
a good? Is that a compliment? Then, like, I don't know.
is that an insult? Like when she said like your friend looks like a cosplayer.
I think it's just the way people behave. Like there is a certain form of like nerviness or anxiety when the way they interact with other people that fits the stereotype.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not everyone acts like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know how to explain it, but it's
I mean, I do see it, and like, I mean, you are a user of TikTok, right? And people like on TikTok laugh about these kind of things and like the way like people behave.
I guess they're just quirky.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. Absolutely not. It's super interesting. My
Yeah.
friends are hella quirky. Yeah. I think it's the preconceived notion that they might make you feel uncomfortable or hurt you. I also do have it depending on my mood or how they approach me in the situation. But mostly I just try to keep an open mind. So I actually made a lot of really good friends from just keeping an open mind. Because it turns out that it's kind of like a defense mechanism for them to be eccentric, and then when they open up to you, you're like, holy shit, they're actually like fully like developed people with like amazing like points of view and thoughts. And then you can discuss with them about different things like politics or like social norms and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I love about keeping an open mind.
Would you say like individuals like me are narrow-minded?
Aren't we all? Like we're all hella narrow-minded in that sense lah. Like if I were to mix around with someone who is different from my subculture, let's say what kind of subculture? Like someone who's obsessed with trains, I'll be like, what the fuck, it's just trains, dude. But you don't know train otakus exist, man. Yeah, but it is something they love, and it's something that I respect lah. Yeah, something I'm passionate about. So, but I still don't understand why you would be obsessed with trains. Like, you know, like there's certain like Facebook or like Facebook pages or Instagram pages that obsess over types of Singaporean buses, and then you'll take a photo and like post the bus.
No, I literally
You
don't know.
don't. I see it around before, but I don't know what's the handle. Like they just every time I see a bus, they'll take a photo and like write the model number and everything like that. It's quite amazing. It's hella dedication though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting or weird?
I
That's
think
very judgmental. That's judgmental.
Yeah, that's just judgmental. But you know, people have their own passions for a reason, and everyone's weird to everyone else. Like a lot of people think that anime has a certain one type of trope or storytelling line, which is like big titties, anime protagonist has a harem. Like sure, that exists, but what anime really is like an art form. It's a medium. Yeah, so that is like you look at American cartoons, there's adult cartoons, and then there is like Family Guy, The Simpsons, and then there's stuff like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, shit like that. And then there's also YouTube Skits, who has productions like RWBY, RWBY. So and then there's Avatar, Last Airbender, which talks about like political stuff within their own kids shows. So that is a medium. And anime is also like a medium like that. They have psychological anime, they have horror anime, and yeah, those are my favorite two genres lah. What else? Oh yeah, then they have romance, harem, all that shit. Yeah.
Coming of age.
Yeah, coming of age. And they have beautiful, beautiful storytelling. One of the best I've ever seen. Like, first time I've ever rated an anime 10 out of 10. I didn't even give Evangelion 10 out of 10. Would be Violet Evergarden. Yeah. Like, the pacing, the art, the music, like, everything flows together to create, like, this atmosphere, which makes Violet Evergarden so freaking good. I recommend everyone to watch it. So...
What's the biggest misconception that people have about cosplaying? And have you ever had like rude encounters before from like maybe friends or maybe like
Oh yeah.
relatives or family members.
It's mostly like underhanded comments, like, oh, like that also can earn money one ah. I love that. Like, I don't. What am I supposed to say? Like, no, what the fuck? Yeah. So, I mean, the number one comment I get is those kind of like, oh, so you sell your feet pics or you sell your nudes, is it?
Hey, there's nothing wrong with sending feet pics. Just saying.
It's lucrative.
Exactly.
It's
if
damn.
it's clever. If I were to do it, like
Right? Crazy. Like, respect to anyone who does it. But I don't do it because I don't know how to make it, like, I don't know how the content works. You know, it's a new area for me. But people assume that because the Venn diagram, like, in between cosplay and, like, porn or NSFW, like, there is, like, this small Venn diagram area where they overlap. They think that everyone does it because that is the one that gets the most attention in mainstream media. The sexualized version of cosplay. I'm not saying I don't do like revealing cosplays. I definitely do it if it's accurate to the source material. Or if it's like a very interesting fan art that I want to do. I won't go out of my way to lewd characters that are not lewd in the first place. But, you know, like, I do all sorts of cosplay. And if people want to focus on the NSFW portion, which I rarely do on my platform, then so be it. Like, sex sells. You know? Which is also a reason why I'm one of the smaller creators in the community, because I don't do NSFW as much.
Interesting. I mean, we talked a bit about this just now, like this whole idea of like why people would think that or immediately associate like cosplay with
NSFW or porn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I guess it's to do with like, I don't know, some of the most popular cosplayers out there.
Yeah.
Right? And the stuff that they...
Yeah. And it's literally like when you go on sites like Pornhub, am I allowed to say it? You go on sites like Pornhub and like everything, that there is confirm going to be a cosplay tag on. Confirm chop. So like some people curious, they want to click, you know? And then they think that, oh, cosplay is only meant for this. And characters itself are already so sexualized in so many mediums, like high school, TXT, all that kind of stuff. Also, another misconception for full-time cosplayers only is that we earn like buckets of money, which is like not true, because even if we do, like, let's say I said my highest earning was $7,000, right? In that month, right, I think more than 50% just went back into buying more costumes and buying more materials. Like, there is, in terms of ROI, right, we actually don't earn a lot by the hour, because so much is going into pre-prep, making the costume, or waiting for the costume to ship over if you're buying it, and prop making, and then there's also booking in the studio, actually shooting, paying the photographer if you pay your photographer. And then there's also editing the photos, and then uploading the photos, monetizing it, marketing it, selling it, posting it on social media. Like, there's so much elements to it. Like, people will think like, oh, one day can gao tima.
No.
But
I'm thinking that you probably have to, like, let's say you want to try cosplaying a new character, right? You probably have to, I mean, let's say like
10 months ahead, yeah.
Right, yeah, like, I mean, the costume is probably not readily
available,
first of all.
Yes.
And then if it's a look that you aren't typically used to, then you must try it out, right? There's
then you still have to style the wig.
Correct.
You still have to, all these kinds of things.
What is the, I guess, like, production timeline for you, or like the costs involved in terms of like time plus like money plus like,
Probably, I think the most accurate answer I can give is like 2.5 months. Yeah. Especially because I ship my materials and my costumes from China. The longest I've taken to get in costume was probably 4 hours, 6 hours. Fuck that costume. I hate it so much. And the project was about $2,000. Yeah.
How do you then like determine what to cosplay?
I think like what I do is that I find out which anime is popular during the period, or classic anime that I want to catch up on. Then I watch it whenever I have the time, which is something I don't have right now. So I watch it whenever I have the time, and after which I usually will find like 1 or 2 characters that I really like from the series, and I'll just cosplay that. Yeah. My favorite anime of all time, Madoka Magica. I've cosplayed almost every single character in that series. I like to find parts of myself within that character, and then it makes the cosplay feel more genuine. I don't know. So yeah, like some people cosplay things that they don't watch because of the aesthetic, which is completely fine. But for me, like I don't see there's no feel for me if I do that. Like you don't see the character within it. It's just I just feel like a coat hanger putting on the costume.
So yours is like bringing your own elements.
Yeah. So when you
into
do
the
photo shoots,
character.
right, and everything, really got feel one. Yeah.
We're taking a short break. Something Private is a podcast produced by WeFM. Subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast to get notified the second a new episode drops every Tuesday. We're doing a really special episode with Singapore Writers Festival 2020, and their theme for this year is intimacy. If you have a short story, a poem, or a love note exploring the meaning of intimacy to you, and would like a chance to be featured on our podcast, submit your entry to me via Instagram at somethingprivatepod or via email at nicole@somethingprivate.fm. Anonymous entries are welcome too. Entries will close this Saturday, 19th of September at 2359 hours, Asia Pacific time. Now back to the episode. My impression is that like cosplaying and gaming are industry that kind of goes like hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you personally have your own like Twitch
Yeah,
channel
my
and
Twitch
everything,
channel.
right? So like tell me a bit more about.
I mean like quite a lot of that. We call this entire industry ACG, which is like anime, comic, and games. So cosplayers do cosplay from all three mediums because they have characters as well. Yeah. So I have cosplayed quite a lot of game characters like Nier Automata, Arknights on mobile games, FGO, Fate Grand Order. And it's kind of fun to just go on stream sometimes in like full costume. And people are like, what the hell? Person come to life, that kind of thing. Especially during COVID, you know, like I couldn't go to conventions and go and see like my followers. So doing it on Twitch was kind of fun. Because like, wow, finally I get to put on costume and like talk to people. Even though it's not in person, yeah, it's still quite fun. Honestly, I don't do a lot on Twitch. I just like either play games that I play with friends, like co-op games, or I can just do IRL streams where I just sit in front of the camera and talk and like hang out or like eat food.
My impression is that like the gaming industry is quite male dominated.
Actually, I would say that every industry is male dominated except for like cosplay. Like even you think about it, like typically you would think women industries would be like, I don't know, gynecologists. But actually, in fact, there's so many male doctors in the gynae area.
It's true.
What would you think would be a woman-dominated industry? Like right off the bat?
Makeup.
I would say corporation-wise, no.
No, that's true. Agree.
Yeah,
but corporation-wise, no.
Beauty vloggers, maybe, but with like people like James Charles coming on the board, and drag queens, and people identify as male.
Game, so.
Many,
Yep.
Right? Like, where is there a place we can claim as our own? Even in cosplay, like, I have male cosplayers who are upset that female cosplayers get popular way easier. Then I'm like, dude, if you literally leave cosplay and go to any other field, you will be popular. Yeah, if you want fame so much, don't find it here. You know, like, let us have our space. Which is something quite a lot of female cosplayers, affluent cosplayers in America have talked about having a very feminist space for cosplay.
That's actually very interesting. Tell me more.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, you wouldn't automatically register like cosplaying as like feminist by conventional female standards, right?
Yeah, it's female centric, right? But the audience that consumes cosplay, right, is male.
Yeah.
So we have to make content catered to male audiences. You see? Yeah, there is a fan base for females, which are consumed by cross players or male cosplayers. Yeah, they have a pretty hardcore fan base, even though like it's not as big as the male audience. Essentially, like I would consider everywhere I go as a male dominated space.
We were talking about
male dominated, how to navigate in a male dominated industry.
And also just now we were talking about this whole idea of like people who like our gamers are like incels.
I mean, that is the stereotype.
It is a stereotype. It is a stereotype. When I
For a good cause,
Yeah.
okay? I wouldn't say all gamers are incels, but I had my fair share of dealing with incels. My very first Twitch stream, right, was a collaboration with Overwatch. And they featured me on their Blizzard. You know when you open the Blizzard app to play the game, right? I was literally on the front fucking
how do
page.
you manage to get that?
They approached me for their anniversary. And they were like, oh, we want you to try out this new character in the beta called Hammond. Yeah, so I tried it out, and I've never streamed Twitch in my entire fucking life. I didn't know how streams work back then, and I didn't know that I needed moderators. I didn't know that, like, how to run a stream. I don't know how to. So I streamed it from my fucking laptop. Oh my god, the lag was immaculate. It was insane. The Overwatch knew that this would be my first time streaming, and they wanted to like help me set off my page like running. But I think I didn't get enough prep time or experience to run the full stream, and I got like a lot of negative feedback. So the point of the stream was actually for me to promote like my own costume and like why I liked like the characters that I cosplay. But they wanted to shift it to promoting like the new character. But obviously I'm not a pro gamer. I'm not close to being like a good gamer back then, even till now. And the responses were like, there was like a few handful of people in the chat going like, why is this female on the front of the Blizzard page when she can't even play properly? Like, what is she doing here? That kind of thing. And there was like hundreds of incel comments on my chat, and I had no moderators to ban them whatsoever.
Were they like sending hate?
Yeah, like legit hate. Like they wish for me to die and stuff like that. And I was like, what the fuck? And they would go like, I'm working so hard as a streamer and I only get 1 to 2 views, and you get featured on the Blizzard page, that kind of shit. And I'm like, I'm a cosplayer, I'm not a gamer. I'm just here to try shit out, man. Like, calm the fuck down. Yeah. So that was kind of crazy. It kind of like, I kind of realized that I was getting a lot of hate when my friends were like calling me on my phone like, dude, have you seen the chat? Because I didn't really care for the chat, but there was 7,000 people watching. You know, people's first Twitch streams, right? Usually got like at most 4 people watching. You're lucky if you start out with that. My very first Twitch stream had 7,000 people watching me, and I had no fucking moderators. And it was damn crazy because like a lot of my friends were also watching because they were very excited for me, and they were like defending me in the chat, which I'm very thankful for, right? But I just set a whole wall off in the fucking chat.
I mean, it does sound to me also that like the people who engaged you like threw you under the bus, right?
Yeah, but they felt very bad for it afterwards. They apologized for not telling me about the norms of Twitch back then, because I was really a clueless fucking girl. Yeah. I was a normie back then, like normie, and people didn't like the fact that a normie was being recognized in the community.
Yeah, I mean exactly. So like if they are a big player in like the gaming community, right? And knowing that like you are a first timer, then
getting featured. But honestly, like I'm not meant to be a gamer. Like even when I stopped playing and I started talking about my cosplays and stuff, like they didn't respond well to a female talking about how they like the game. And then like people will come on and defend, like saying, no, I don't care that my sister likes the game. Then I'm like, fuck yeah, it's your sister. What? If your sister went to go and turn on a Twitch stream and start playing or start talking about how much she likes the game, I don't think she's gonna get the same response. You know? Yeah. It's a whole not all men argument. But when they go out of it, like when women go out of their way to do it, they still get shit on for it. It's not all men, but all women experience it. Yeah.
Say that louder. It's true.
Yeah, like it's not all men, but every single one of us experience harassment.
It's true.
Sicko mode. Oh my god, I'm getting so heated talking about this. Crazy. The pillow is so warm right now. Let me turn it around.
Okay.
So I do have my fair share of encounters with incels. Like, but I wouldn't say the people that support me are incels, because like I talk so much about activism related stuff, and incels usually won't stomach that kind of shit. Yeah, but I'm very glad that because I'm outspoken about things like that, I tend to scare away, or I tend to not attract people who are like of that kind, and like my followers have a working brain. Yeah, which is something I'm very proud of, like building.
So I mean, the very first time I found out about you was when I was on TikTok. And I was scrolling through my timeline, and you had made this, I think, video about standing up for the LGBTQ community.
Oh, was it the Netflix one?
I don't
Like
even
how
know.
Netflix SG got censored, and like if
No,
you
I don't
search,
know.
you know, like how Netflix, right? If you /s/ something, and then you type in the code, like you will have like a genre of things. So there was a code for LGBTQ stuff,
Okay,
and I was like damn curious, so I tried it out, right? And I'm like, it was completely blank, and I was like, the fuck?
Okay.
Hold up. And then I went to go and search for like what my American friends like watched that were like lesbian films or like gay films. I couldn't find it. It was like completely not there. And I was like, oh, it's region locked.
Interesting.
And I'm like, oh, thanks, NDA.
So, which means that
it got censored. It literally got like taken out. And then I went to go and look for articles for it, and I'm like, yeah, like a few hundreds of different series and movies were taken out of Netflix for the Singaporean region. Yeah. And it was the most censored version of Netflix ever in all of the Netflix regions.
Interesting. I mean, it leads me to going about this whole idea of like your activism on social media, right? You are very vocal about.
Yeah. I mean, I'm vocal to the point where it scares people away. So, yeah.
Internet vibes. I live for it.
Tea.
Tell me a bit more about that element of like your life. Yeah.
I guess it's just in my personality to talk about things like these. Like some people say, if you have a platform where like people are struggling to get there and you're already there, and me as a Chinese girl got there with fairly amount of ease because I'm a Chinese girl on social media. Like just be useful for once, you know? Like, yeah. And personally, as a minority myself, as LGBTQ, I've always been posting about pride, different things like that subtly, but I've never actually come out until like I think last year. Yeah, last year or 2 years ago. Yeah, and people still think I'm straight because I look femme. I have long hair. Yeah. Even till now, even the Joanna Ting thing, people are like, oh, Ria's not actually bisexual. She just supports the pride movement. And I'm like, when I first came out, everyone was like, wow, you're so brave. Like, I wouldn't dare say that if I were you. You know, like they showed their support lah. But the moment I start pointing out the problems within like about the community or how we are treated, suddenly it's like, oh wow, she's like being way too outspoken, or like yeah, like that kind of thing. I'm overstepping my line. Then I'm like, where was all the support that you showed previously? Yeah, you know, if you really stood in solidarity with us, like where I don't see it. It's empty words. So obviously, like I do have quite a lot of followers that really, really like respect or like consume whatever I post, and they genuinely want to get educated. And they do tell me like, oh, every day when you post about stuff like that, I feel like I'm really learning something new outside of my own bubble as like a Singaporean Chinese person, because quite a lot of people that follow me are Singaporean Chinese or white American people. Yeah, because you say 15% US citizens, 15% Chinese. Singaporean, right? Yeah, Singaporean Chinese. And when you bring people out of these bubbles, and when they approach you with an open mind, they don't see it as an attack. They don't see it as like, oh, not all Chinese people are like that, or not all white people are like that. You know, like when they see it that way, they're like, holy shit, I really come from a crazy place of privilege. Yep. And like people live such different lives from me, you know? Yeah. I think it's just something you cannot see until it's presented in front of you. I want to sum up like this interview. I have a question for you, and that is, how do you reconcile, because I would say that like compared to a lot of other industries and communities, right? Yeah. I would say that the cosplaying / gaming / anime part of the world is very overtly detached. Sexist. Okay. Yeah. I would say sexist with like pinch of salt. I'm not saying that they like demean women or whatever, but like
Exactly like we're talking about, like
They kind of do.
yeah, correct, like the male gaze and everything, right? And how does a person like you, who I feel that you are big on equality, big on, like you mentioned, like amplifying voices, big on standing up for the things that you believe in, right? Some of which do come quite in conflict with the things that like people who love anime or like are in the community think is right, or like have like normalized, right? So how do you reconcile?
As a bisexual myself, I enjoy titties. I enjoy really thick characters. That's some good shit right there. But yeah, I do feel that it's not always necessary on all platforms. Like sometimes it's just I recently loved the game. Like it was a game about like boats. But like sure the characters are really attractive. Sure the game design is like amazing, and I love the whole concept of it. But the game focused too much on like I don't know, F cup titties, and like at the point where it was just so unattractive to me. And I'm like, is it really that necessary to fan service or sell out this entire game for just so males will cash more money into the game? And it really, really started to turn me off. So I stopped playing the game. But I still very much love the characters that made me get into the game for lah. So I still cosplay it. I do like objective content, like I would call it objective because it's technically objectifying women's parts. Yeah, like sure, it's nice to look at, but when it crosses a certain line, right, then I realize that like this is just trying to be a cash cow at this point, and I just stopped supporting it.
Where's that line for you?
Yo, when every fucking character has like K-cup tits, like no man, like that's it. Like at a point where it's like, if I were to like bend down, like my tits would touch the floor, that kind of level, like that doesn't make any sense. And it's just not focusing on the gameplay anymore. It's not about the content anymore. Yeah. There it is still a very heavily sexist industry because characters are like overly sexualized. I don't know lah. I feel very bad because I enjoy it lah. I know I shouldn't say this lah. It's entertainment lah. It's still fiction.
What are you doing in your own capacity to make sure that, like, I guess, like, the industry doesn't continue to be this type of toxic, I guess?
I think I don't have the autonomy to affect decisions like that because I'm still a small creator. Yeah. So what I do is that because I'm not an NSFW cosplayer, I tend to cosplay stuff that are not usually lewd. I do cosplay like bikini related, summer related cosplays in Fate Grand Order, which is a heavy sexualized like mobile game. Yeah, I do enjoy it because of the characters also. But I do draw the line on what I stop cosplaying. Like at that point.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode with Ria. Remember, we're doing a really special episode with Singapore Writers Festival 2020 soon, and we're taking in story and poetry submissions on the theme of intimacy. If you want to be featured, all you have to do is to submit your entry via Instagram at somethingprivatepod or via email at nicole@somethingprivate.fm. Anonymous entries are welcomed. Entries close Saturday, 19th September, 2359 hours, Asia Pacific time. See you guys next week for another episode. Tune in to the full episode on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.